Hey guys, and welcome back to another lesson with me. We are still in the chapter of vergelyking, which is comparisons, taking one thing and comparing it to something else. However, you have instances where you don't physically have to compare one thing to another to make a comparison. And when I'm saying that, I'm talking about trappe van vergelyking. Trappe van vergelyking, degrees of comparisons. So this is not necessarily per se when you are comparing one thing to another thing, but it is when you are leveling up on a comparison. For example, strong, stronger, strongest. These are still forms of comparisons because you can say someone was strong, or you can say someone was the strongest, or someone was stronger. It's just different degrees of a specific word that can be used in order to compare things. So you've been learning this since for a very long time. I am going over it once again as a, what's the word I'm looking for? As a that word, right? So I have a few words, some of them being words you may have not seen before, some of them being words that you may have seen before. So on trappe van vergelyking, degrees of comparison, let me actually just write that down. Okay, degrees of comparisons. So, ons het die stellende trap. Trap on its own means step. So when we're talking about degrees of comparisons, we're talking about moving up. We make reference to a staircase because every step that you take on a staircase is taking you higher up or lower down. There is no righter or lefter. It just keeps going up or it goes down. So ons het ons stellende trap. Stellende means affirmative. So basically our first word, our word origin, our original word. Vergrotende trap, our enlarged step. So it's a bit bigger than the first one. Oortreffende trap, superior step. So it can be big, bigger, or biggest. So in this explanation, I have one word that's an exception and two sets of words that have different forms of exceptions. There are words that you can't necessarily add the degree of comparison to it because it wouldn't make sense. But we'll get to that when we get to that. So, our first word is aklig, which means horrible. Aklig, which means horrible. Akliger, akligist. So what I want us to take note of is the degree. So what are we doing? We are adding ER and STE. Not just ST, but STE in order to show our degree of comparison. Next we have bang, which is scared. So for example, in English, you can't have scared, scareder, scaredest. Those are not words. There are words that we substitute in order to get the idea of how scared a person can be, the degree of fear, right? Bang, banger, bangste. Banger, bangste. Blow, blower, blauste. Blow meaning blue. Goed, good. So in English, you can't say good, gooder, goodest. That kid was the gooder kid, or that kid was the goodest kid. It's not grammatically correct. We do say, however, good, better, or best. Same thing applies in Afrikaans. Ons het goed, beter, beste. Do you see how even though, oh my lid. Okay. I'm sorry about that. Okay, as I was saying, do you see how even though it's different words, they still have the rules of the degree, or rather the degree of comparison with them? Beter, ER, beste, STE. Goed, beter, beste. I don't ever want to hear you say goed. How this look? And now, okay. I don't ever want to hear you say goed, goeder, goedest, because that just sounds so wrong. Sorry, this lid has been giving me stress. Okay, moving on. Next we have wag, which means hi. So, in any rule or figure of speech or whatever it is, if we are adding onto a word that has twin vowels, that has two vowels, right? If we're adding onto a word that has two vowels, the spelling is bound to change because it doesn't sound right, or it's not grammatically correct in Afrikaans. So we have wog, which is spelled H-O-O-G. Word, we can't say wagger. It doesn't sound right. It's wrong. We say wor, which means higher. Do you see our ER is still present? Okay, our ER is still present. Then wagste. Trappe van vergelyking is very straightforward. You know, in terms of adding, we should be aware and conscious of what we are working with, but it's very straightforward. ER en jou vergrotende trap, STE en jou oortreffende trap. Okay, now we're on to another exception. Opgewonde, which means excited. You can't say opgewonde ends with an E. Do you see that? So what are you gonna say? Opwonder, or you're gonna spell it as opwonder. No, both of them are wrong. You can't say excited, excitedest, exciteder. It doesn't work that way. However, you can say I was more excited when I got the doll. I was most excited when I got the doll. Okay? Same thing in Afrikaans. Meer opgewonde. Meer. Do you see your ER? Mees opgewonde. No STE, but I guess ES, right? So that is meer and that is mees. There are words where you have to put more and most in front of them versus actually putting an ER or an STE because it does not make it grammatically correct. So I gave you guys two exceptions, one with wrong spelling, with a different spelling, not wrong spelling, sorry. There are quite a few words that you are gonna have to cram that are exceptions, just because they are exceptions. Those words, you cram them, you learn them, it's the same. The exceptions, the words that are exceptions will never stop being exceptions. Like, we're not just all of a sudden gonna stop making them exceptions or gonna add on to it. It's the same words that are exceptions throughout. So if you remember or you cram or you remember those specific words that are exceptions, you will know them for the rest of your life, okay? With that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in and joining me with this exercise, or rather explanation, met trappe van vergelyking. See you guys again next time. Bye!